Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we are going to be doing a part 2 to the patch notes video. This is going to be a honorary part 2, as there was too many items being added for me to cover them in the first video. So this video, we're going to be talking about all of the items. I say items because not only are we getting uniques in the next patch, we're also getting a lot of items in general. So let's talk about those, shall we? If you haven't already, I would heavily suggest leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel, as that's the best way of supporting me, and it's the best way to let me know you like videos like this one. Now, let's talk about things, shall we? So, these Avenge items, if you do not know, the way that these work is you give them to the Nemesis, they drop from the Nemesis, and then when you slay a Harbinger, they turn into their better version. Now, I'm not entirely sure if they keep their stats or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they do. So they're just going to convert their base. So let's see these, shall we? So the first one, Avenged Cavalry Sword, one-handed melee weapon. A cooldown recovery speed for evade, that's pretty useful. Dodge wall evade, it's like okay, but the cooldown wall evade is pretty good. This can actually end up being very good, like a good base in general. So that's nice. That has a good base stack rate too. Avenged Chitin Club, 7% of max health gained as endurance threshold and endurance threshold. This is really good if you're playing a build that's like HP focused and does not care about its weapon as much. In theory, you could get a good base like this and get a very large amount of your health as endurance threshold and get it all the way to the max very quickly. The next one here, Avenged Crystal Core. I think the people here who designed these are fans of Avenged Sevenfold, but who knows? This one gives you 30 mana on potion use. That's actually useful. We actually have mana pots in last epoch now, and 48 mana flat. That's a really good base in general. Overall, a decent base. Shield here, it just gives you a lot of ward decay threshold, an insane amount of ward gained on block. If you can actually cap your block on this and then get like ward on hit, you could technically become immortal technically with this shield. It's kind of cool. The sword here, massive bleed on hit and massive bleed duration. This is an interesting base. I'm not entirely sure if there's anything off the top of my head that could use this, but it's definitely something that could be used. It's just the problem is it's a two-handed sword, but this is definitely merit to be used somewhere, just not off the top of my head. We have Avenge Kolheim Axe. Cold pen on an axe. It's like, okay, more damage to frozen enemies. Who cares? Mainly just the cold pen. It's like, whatever. The Avenged Lodestone one. Oh my god, this one's going to be a meta breaker. Oh my goodness. Up to -5 mana cost for spell skills on the wand, and also 60% mana spent gained as ward on the base. Zooey Mama, is this a banger? This one right here. Ooh, this one's going to be the one that's the big money. Ooh, I don't know if you'll be able to trade these in Merchant's Guild or not, but this is the big money right here. More damage against stun enemies, like who cares? Ram Staff, this one's actually a really interesting one. Not only does it get you to 102 spell damage, also gives you 72 flat life. That's a pretty good base. I could see this being used. This is definitely one of those bases that would give you a decent amount of health. This on top of utilizing a Titan Heart might be a very good idea. So Ram Staff might actually be useful. Avenged Raptor Spear. You gain haste after you use evade and effective haste on you. Spears aren't really used, so this won't probably see play. This one's interesting though. Up to 9% spell critical strike chance and 21 flat spell damage on a scepter. Whew. Zooey Mama, that's a real good one. Ooh, 9% base crit. That's better than a catalyst, mind you. Yeah, this is probably going to see uses in a lot of different places, specifically builds that get all their flat damage, like Healing Hands, Smite, stuff like that. Things that get a lot of flat damage, you can just go for this and cap your crit easy as pie. It's amazing. Dagger here, 3% of leech on hit. It's like whatever. It's like not the most useful thing in the world, but this is very niche, so it can see use. Haste effect on a bow. It's like whatever. Then health on crit on an axe. This is a decent amount of health on crit. You can abuse this in some ways, as the health on crit on marksman has been. I'm not entirely sure if it'll be good or not. It's interesting. Definitely have to see it. And of course, these are all their Nemesis counterparts, the ones that are the unupgraded ones that will be upgraded, which is cool. Now let's talk about the uniques. Of course, Egg of the Forgotten, that's the thing with the Nemesis stuff. That doesn't really matter here. Run's Penance. Run's Penance gives you cold damage, leeches health. That's insane. Just having leech for anything you're doing cold damage wise, whether that be spell, frostbite, or melee attack. Mana Strike converted to cold. There's also a node inside Mana Strike that converts it to cold, so that's actually really good in general for frostbite melee setups. Fury Leap converted to cold. This might convert Maul to cold, which has a few ways of being utilized currently. This is a decent offhand to the heal, to the build that runs the health regen package, right? You could play health regen Mana Strike and do a decent amount of damage. Same thing with Maul Werebear. I'm not entirely sure if this will be good, but it does have a fat 34% cold penetration on it, and it has a very low LP level. So being able to get one with LP might be very easy. So overall, I think this is a good item. Good item overall. Like, obviously, it will be niche used, but it'll still be used. Fingers of the Phantom Mire. So what this does is it replaces your evade with Terrify, which fears nearby enemies. I don't know the range of the Terrify, but it seems like it's a decent, like causing enemies to flee from the target location from when you evade. And enemies, so the problem is enemies can only be feared once. So you only get this buff once. So this stuff's kind of bad. Swiftness is interesting. It means you can delete your evade for swiftness, which is interesting. It's attack and cast speed on gloves. Overall, I think these are good leveling gloves because they give you swiftness and attack and cast speed, and they have a low LP. But other than that, like, unless if there's something that's given to us that allows fear to be permanent on enemies, these won't see use, but maybe we'll eventually get something like that. When fear actually is used and useful, right, then I could see this being used, but fear for 3 seconds is not good enough. If this feared for like maybe 10 seconds, maybe it could be good, but being only able to fear an enemy only once is actually not good enough, to be honest. Like, I think that these gloves are kind of bad. Maybe we'll get synergy in the future. They're interesting. We'll see. Palarus is Sacred Light. We've actually seen this before, but essentially, if you're playing Flameburst Warpath, this essentially doubles your single target. Being able to get extra smites on melee hit is really good on Flameburst Warpath. You can play Super Cock Werebear, where you play a bunch of different cocks, including the Meteor Belt on top of Smite, on top of, like, now you can do other stuff. Like, essentially you just play with as many spell procs as possible, and this really fits into that as well, since you're getting the spell damage per strength. So now you're actually getting 1.5 spell damage per strength while in Werebear form, and you also get melee damage for attunement. There might be some niche use cases of this, but like, we'll see. But it's also a low base with a low LP level 6, so being able to get like a 3 to 4 LP one is easy peasy in Merchant's Guild, a 3 LP one probably in COF. So like, this is just, I'll be honest, like, just a solid item. Fly to the Quezteri. This is actually really strong, specifically on Maul Werebear, because you get increased cooldown recovery speed for Fury Leap, so you can like Fury Leap a bunch. Also gives you more evades. That'll be interesting. You also get, of course, you know, haste and haste. Like, this might actually be pretty good for Maul Werebear specifically. We'll see, obviously, but Maul Werebear definitely stands to benefit from these boots, and they have a 55 LP level. It might not be good enough. I don't know entirely, but like, ooh, like the 45% cooldown recovery speed, and you get cooldown recovery speed on that, you're going to be spamming those mauls. And maybe that'll end up being good. Who knows? This actually might end up being interesting with the new unique, the two-handed hammer, the entropy or whatever, that gives you less attack speed. You might be able to reach a point in time where you maul, and then by the time your maul is done, you can maul again, maul again, maul again. So who knows? We'll see. Phantom Grip. Phantom Grip is a new ring, +2 to minion level skills. Instantly already, meta item already. Just getting +2 to any minion skill, like, slap it on anything. You can ignore the rest of these mods and it would still be good. It gives you 2% base critical strike chance. If you don't know, recently they buffed the Harbinger of Stars belt to not have base crit on it, but then And the only other places we could get base crit are like on your one-handed on Rune Dagger, and now that Scepter. You can get it on Catalyst, and you can get it on a Helmet. This solves a lot of problems. If you run double Phantom Grip with LP or whatever, this means that you can actually get base crit without having to use that stupid helmet with the high LP. So that's crazy. 4% base critical strike chance for minions. This is really strong in general because this gives you base crit for a multitude of different things. You can reach crit cap on forged weapons easily without sacrificing your weapon. You can reach crit cap on zombies. Like all these minions that weren't able to reach crit cap easily before, you can easily hit it now. Easily. Increased mana, why not? Melee damage for necrotic, whatever. Duration, that's actually useful. It means your warpaths don't get it makes the warpath version much better because you can summon them much quicker and stuff. Stats on your gloves apply to your forged weapons at 100% effectiveness. This is really good because if you run 2 of them, you can run a pair of wing guards for 40% attack speed. And let's assume you get like, I don't know, T7 attack speed on it. So that's another 20%. So that's 60%. You can give your forged minions about 120% increased attack speed for free. That is insane. Forged weapons might actually be good now. Who knows? Their tankiness is left to be desired, obviously, but still, this will be interesting. It has an LP level of 50. That's not a big deal. These rings just have insane amount. Like Phantom Grip might actually be like one of the better items of the patch. It's crazy. Also, it's on a copper ring base as well. I didn't even notice that. It's on a copper ring base. Jesus Christ. Concentration of momentum. Increased armor is cool on a ring. It has a high LP ratio, and I don't know what the crab does. Maybe the crab is good. I don't know. Like swiftness is cool. It'll be good for leveling, but it requires level 23. This is definitely, definitely on the meme thing. Too bad if you run 2 of them, you can't summon 2 crabs. I don't know. This looks kind of memey, but there might be some use cases where you need minions to exist for some reason, like Hungering Souls, for example. You could do that. You could run 2 crabs and like, I don't know, like a summon Bone Golem or something. I don't know. It's an interesting item to say the least. Orion Sun Seal. +2 to levels, Sigils of Hope. Sometimes you run out of levels on that skill, so it's good. 12 seconds to Sigils of Hope duration, insane. Increased healing effectiveness, pretty good on a ring. Increased armor, good. So every 10 seconds, when you're above half mana, you cast the Sigils of Hope and consume its mana cost, so you can actually sustain Sigils of Hope off this without needing to press the button. I don't think this will be good. The problem is the LP level is pretty high, and like it doesn't have that many stats on it. So that might be the biggest problem keeping this ring from being viable. It is interesting to be able to cap yourself on sigils, but sigils are in general, like most builds that use sigils are using them because they don't need the mana, and then builds that want sigils but can't use them are not using them because of the mana. And this doesn't affect that much at all. So like the duration helps a lot, to be honest. That might be the only reason to run it, is the duration, to be honest. Traitors Tongue, decent base, parry chance when it's equipped in the main hand, interesting. And I think you get like up to 20% parry chance now in the main hand. That's interesting as well for defensive reasons. Critical strike chance when it's offhand. This is insane. This is absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of different ways to utilize this, not only on Rogue, well, just on Rogue, I'm sorry, because it's equipped in offhand, I'm dumb. But yeah, on Rogue, there's a lot of use cases for this. Then +2 to Dexterity and Intelligence skills, just this alone. So +2 to Intelligence skills, right? And then you get the parry chance while in main hand. This could end up being a good item for playing a minion build on Necromancer in general, because you get the +2, and you get the parry chance. This might actually end up being pretty good for that. Who knows? It actually looks pretty good. Pretty good item, pretty good defensive item, and then of course if you're rogue, pretty good offensive. Getting +2 to skills allows you to reach those final skill points on certain skills. This will be integral to the build's functionality. So just having plus levels of skills everywhere is great. Cruelty. Okay. +2 to sacrifice. Great. Always love plus levels of skills. Minions are automatically sacrificed after 2 seconds. If you have any mana, then 53 to 89% of sacrifice's mana cost is consumed. Otherwise, the cast of sacrifice deals 80% less damage. So it means that you can automate sacrifices. This is not good, sadly, for Blood Specters. The problem with Blood Specters is it's going to cost a lot of mana, and you have to cast the sacrifice for the mana. So like, there's like a lot of problems for that specific build. Like, there might be a way of utilizing it with Blood Specters in general, but like, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about Cruelty in general. I'm not entirely sure. Although 83 mana on a relic, that's really good. Increased movement speed on a relic, so if you want to speed run the campaign, even more movement speed. I think there will be use cases for this. It's just we will have to try it. I think it's going to be a strong item, but we will have to try it. Grim Constitution. It is a new shield. You cannot gain ward while in combat. The way while in combat works is using skills. If you are using skills, you are in combat. If you're getting hit, you're in combat, I believe. So this will be whenever you're just walking around and not doing anything. You gain 155% of max health gained as ward decay threshold, and then 55% of max health gained as ward per second. I don't think that this is going to be good. The problem is out of combat. Like, when you're fighting a boss, you're never out of combat. So this is only good in monos. Maybe you swap into it in monos and that's good. But like there will be plenty of times in monos where you can get all that ward and stuff. But like, this one's a hard sell, I will say. It's not automatically good. It's just interesting. Triboelectra, it's a decent wand with cast speed, spell damage minus mana cost, and then +3 to lightning spell skills. That already makes it insane on a lot of different builds. +5 tendrils static orb. That's really good for a specific build we'll talk about later with the spark charge stuff. Shock durations, whatever. When you use evade, you cast static orb for 90% of this cost. It's kind of meh, doesn't really matter. Shock proliferation doesn't matter as well. Increased cooldown and recovery speed for evade. That's pretty useful though. Lets you evade more often. So I think yeah, I think it's going to be used for this. I think all the other stuff is cool and all, but mainly it's going to be used for this. There's a lot of different ways to utilize that +3, so we'll see how that goes. Flames of Midnight. It's on a decent base with a ward decay threshold. Evade is replaced by Spirit Step. You swap places with a target wandering spirit at targeted area. If there's no spirit, you will instead reappear a short distance forwards. I don't think this is good per se. You do get swiftness though, and you still keep your evade technically. So maybe like you can target it, I guess. That's interesting. When you directly use a fire, necrotic, or void skill, you create a wandering spirit near the target location. I think this is bad in general. 4-second cooldown for each skill. Maybe use it with actually, wait a moment here. You could, so it says at the target location, you can actually use any skill of these, right? And then kind of use it as a movement skill to teleport around. So Sentinel finally has a movement skill, maybe? That would be useful there. Maybe that's interesting. Then ward gained each second per active spirit. It's like whatever. Converted to fire. It's like meh. Like overall, although you can use the scepter. Although I don't know how you'd get the flat damage, but overall, I think it's a cool item. It's just one of those awkward items. Now, Momentum of Protection. It is a axe specifically. It looks like a shield. It has block chance and block effect, so it is essentially a shield. You get endurance, health on block. Okay, that's starting to look really good. Flat damage for shield bash and shield rush. Shield rush specifically. Shield rush is a really good skill right now, and this makes it even better. Increased block effectiveness. That's actually fucking insane. Reduced movement speed. Who cares? 52 base. Yeah, this will actually end up being pretty good. I think that dual shield might actually end up being a thing, and you can use this on a lot of different builds. You can put a shield on your main hand and shield on your offhand. There might be a lot of minion builds that adopt utilizing this to cap their block chains for free. Who knows? Overall, I think it's a cool item. I think it's a cool item. Definitely a good item. Definitely gives you the more defenses that you'd need. Plague Dragon's Tongue. 45% chance to summon a locust on hit with Serpent Strike, max 3 for 2 seconds. Okay. All right. 7 maximum locusts. So this is a way of creating locusts while not being in summons in Swarmblade. That's interesting. And then 7 maximum locusts. That's actually good. That might make this locust build good in general. And then attack speed, movement speed for locusts. It's a massive weapon with attack speed and flat damage. This is just a huge stat stick, mind you. Like, dude, people are just going to use this as a stat stick. Let's be real. Melee damage, and then +5 to level poison skills. That's an interesting one too. There's a lot of different ways of utilizing that. So overall, Plague Dragon's Tongue and a low LP level, yeah. Like, ignoring all the locust stuff here for a moment, it's got attack speed, it's got flat damage, it's got base crit. Plague Dragon's Tongue might be insane for like, it might be a good spear in general. Who knows? That actually looks really cool. I like that. Plague Dragon's Tongue, good item. Naal's Tooth. You get flat damage for your minions. Cool. That's good. We need more sources of that. Movement speed for you and your minions. Cool. More movement speed sources. +2 to melee skills and +2 to level of minion melee skills. Plus levels is always great. A reduced raptor size and then less raptor damage, and then you can summon raptors up to your companion limit. Hey, look, it's the Chris Pratt weapon. It's cool. So you can summon the raptors up to your companion limit. That is pretty good. I like that. You can just run a raptor pack now instead of a wolf pack, and the rampage will still work and all that. That might be interesting. I'm like, you can also, you don't have to use a helmet for this, so you can get the +1 raptor from the helmet as well. So like, I think this will be interesting. I don't know if it'll be good. The biggest problem with the raptor thing in general is the reason why wolves are so good right now is you have access to swipe, giving you extra AoE. This will be good for AFK minion builds, I think. I'm not entirely sure about this. I think raptors obviously do a lot of damage, and you can get a lot of raptors with this thing. So any but the problem is you lose the solo companion stuff. So like, I'm not completely convinced on this. I think it might just be bad, but who knows? The plus levels of skill is cool though. Abberoth's command, we've actually talked about this at length on stream and stuff like that, but essentially ravaging auras, instant void cleave, no longer weapon requirement, insane damage over time on it, insane area of effect, insane void pen. Overall, just really good item. You're going to see this used everywhere, not just void cleave builds. Like the area plus the dot, like there's going to be so many other ways of utilizing this, like not just this. Celestial Doom. Mana spent gained as max mana for 5 seconds up to 500. So you can get an insane amount of flat mana. Okay, that's interesting. This is really good for like focus, because you can actually end up getting an extra, so 40% of 500, that's like 200 flat mana gained from focus. That is insane. When you're missing that mana, that's crazy. You cast Doom Pulse when you directly cast a fire, cold, lightning, necrotic, or void spell, 4 seconds of each type. 4 second cooldown. God damn it. 1 spell damage per 10 max mana. That's interesting. That's like, I think like, that's like 150 flat damage with the amount that you're going to be getting here. 1% crit multi per 1% mana regen. That's interesting. Void spell damage, cast speed, etc. Doom Pulse here. 500% effectiveness, and it has 100 flat void at base. Void Mage might be a thing with the thing. It's got a cooldown, but you can do like Ellie Nova, Ellie Nova, Ellie Nova, And then Void Vol. Oh no, you can't do that because you can turn it Void. But yeah, yeah, Ellie Nova, Ellie Nova, Ellie Nova. You don't have to play this on Mage. Yeah, you don't have to play this on Mage. You could play this, like, you don't have to play it on Mage. You could play it on a lot of different builds. I'm not entirely sure. Like, the Doom Pulses, I'm going to be honest, even with the 500% added damage effectiveness, I'm not impressed with the Doom Pulses in general. Like, they're not going to do enough damage for you to care, I think, but we'll see. That's a I have to test it in game kind of item. Sword Catcher, two-handed axe on the good axe base, good. Parry chance, +6 to melee skills. Holy crap! What the hell? Holy shit, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. 40 flat for you and your minions, that's a lot as well. Holy shit. One chance on parry to restore you and a random minion to full health and grant frenzy for 5 seconds. 1% chance? I think that's what that means. And then you gain you have flat damage while you have frenzy. That's easy to get. Huh. That's an interesting item. It might enable some things, mainly because the +6. I'm not entirely sure. You can get parry chance on it as well. This might be the most parry chance you can get. We'll see. And we got Black Blade of Chaos. All right, it's on the good base, the Odachi. Lethal Mirage no longer grants invulnerability, but it has a much quicker attack. Okay. 24% of Lethal Mirage remaining cooldown recovered on melee hit up to 12 times. That's insane. Ridiculous. 12 dexterity. You get pen per dexterity, lightning and void. Flicker Strike, anybody? Flicker Strike might be back. Flicker Strike might be a real thing now. Well, I'll definitely be trying Flicker Strike. I know that for sure. Yeah, Flicker Strike might actually be really good. Yeah, I'll definitely get back to you guys on that when I make the Flicker Strike video. Hug. Razor Fall here. Increased movement speed. Oh my god, that's a decent amount of movement speed. And on the haste effect boots. Ooh. Ho 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 ho. +2 to throwing levels and skills up to 12 dex. Ooh, these are just really good boots. Like, ignoring the rest of this, these are really good boots. 2 umbral blades per dexterity. Okay. I haven't played with the Falcon stuff, but I'm sure it's fine. This is interesting. It's like, okay. I just know that, like, I read this and I know it's good. I can ignore all this and tell you this is all good. Just in general. Stealth. 1 evade charge. Enemies put a lower priority on targeting you compared to your minions and other allies. That's interesting. That might be used when you are playing a minion build in general. That could be useful. You get a bunch of flat dodge rating, increased dodge, and +4 to smoke bomb. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Yeah, this might be used. Although it has no movement speed and has a high LP rate. So you need to get movement speed and you need to be playing a ward build to make this usable. But in theory, this could be used on like a necromancer when you're like, you use this on a necromancer specifically, right? Or something, or like a beastmaster or something. But it's high requirements. Getting movement speed on this thing will be a little annoying, but it might be worth it. Who knows? We've already talked about Event Horizon, but essentially big fats, 72% pen. Oh my god. Oh boy, hold me. Oh my goodness. And up to 15% more damage. So this, essentially the way this works is you attack more. When you attack, you gain a stack of dilation, which you can smack stuff with. You can get a lot of more damage. This can be used on a lot of different builds, and I'm looking forward to playing a bunch of Event Horizon builds in a row once I get a good one. Nihilus here. +2 to level of all skills, already better than Omnis. Up to 50% mana regen, but it can be negative. Up to 20% more armor from -10. Up to 15% all res from -5. And then I think it's like -10 to 20% of health lost when you use evade. I don't know how that works. Probably 10%. And then you gain frenzy. This could be really good, depending on what happens. Just in general, it's a very good item. It has a really large roll range, so as long as all the rolls do well, I'm going to assume it is obtained from the new boss, by the way. But overall, really good item. Really good item. Really good chase item overall. Really, really excited for that one. No Portent. 6% of melee damage leeches health. That's hard to get sometimes. Overkill leeches health, whatever. Leech rate, that's good. Increase health 20%, so it's half of a Titan Heart. Fizz res, that's cool on this kind of item. And then 1% less damage taken per 2% resistance above the normal resistant cap, up to 20% less damage taken. So this can actually be a better Titan Heart as long as you have enough resistances. This is actually really good on any ward build that isn't running low life, because you can just get the 20% less for ward builds. This is a huge buff to ward builds overall. You don't need that much ward when you're running a no portent. That's portent. Yeah, portent. Yeah, this item's really strong. 81. Like, yeah, I could see this being used. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of the more meta chess pieces. It's like, to give an example, I think it's like the old version of the one chest from Path of Exile. You use all the rings to put it together. That's really cool. I like that. Bane of Winter. It is a spear. 42% chance to cast Void Winter Bolts when you hit with Javelin or melee attack, up to 3 times per 2 seconds. So 3 times per 2 seconds. So that's not going to be that much damage, but let's look here. Void Winter Bolt. Cast 3 piercing corrupted shards of ice towards enemies in front of you. They have 120 flat, 600% effectiveness. See, now that's how you make it work. Oh my goodness. All right. And then these are these spells? These are spells, right? Yeah. And then 1% critical strike multiplier per 10 uncapped chits chance to chill. Time rot, more bolt damage, yeah, per time rot. 100% of cold damage taken is physical. That's very good. Melee cold, melee damage applied to added spell damage. Oh, okay. So any flat. So this could be good. I think that this actually has potential to be good. I think it just needs to find a home. The biggest problem with this is it needs to find a home. I'm sure you could easily find a home. To cold and void spells, this is a very good thing because it says generic, like untyped, and like for instance, this is a bunch. So like, let's say you get like 80 flat. So it's like 200. So it's like 100 flat. So this is just as good as like a weapon in general for void and cold spells. There will be uses for Bane of Winter, I think. Bane of Winter, there will be uses for. Okay. Scales of Lemniscate on an okay base. 330% damage, 180% health, 105 health. You can only control one shade. Shade has 30% buff effect and 25% increased health of decay. That is insane. Per fealty, that's awful. That's also awful. So essentially, you're just gonna use this on a one shade build, on like a one like dread shade setup. That buff effect is insane. The base is insane. The LP's high. So I think this could be good, but like it's kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to justify this when you could just run a one-handed weapon and a shield as an acolyte in general. I think this is a bad item because you want to be defensive with your items as a necromancer, because in theory most of the time you'll have plenty of damage. So yeah, I think it's an interesting item. This specifically might be good with LP and like minion dot on it or something, or minion flat, but the high LP level kind of ruins it because you want to be having it on the suffixes. That's the whole point of running a two-hander, is to get the high modifiers and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's mediocre, but I could see it being used. This specific part might just carry it, but like we'll see in the future, obviously. The Inevitable, a lot of movement speed, all right. A lot of vitality. That's a good start. You can get vitality on these. Cannot be stunned while using a racing strike. Okay. 25% less damage while using a racing strike. That is, wait a moment. There's some synergy here. you can run an Event Horizon to reduce your attack speed with this so that you can take the less damage taken more. Huh. It's a high base though, and it's got no HP on it other than Vitality. Maybe it's fine? I think that if you're playing in a Racing Strike build and you're playing the version with Event Horizon, it might be good. We'll see. It's interesting. It's hard to quantify this without playing it in game. Seed of okay, Seed of Echidrosil. There you go. Decent helmet base, lots of flat mana, all right? Lots of percent mana regen, all right? 28% of damage dealt to mana before health. That is insane. You can now play mom builds on other... Oh my god, that opens up so many possibilities. That is... Jesus. Oh my god. That's crazy. Oh my god. I think health can compete again, because you just run this on like a build that has a decent amount of mana. So let's assume you have like, I don't know, like 500 mana, right? And you are at like, I don't know, like, this is interesting. Like, any build that sustains mana while they're playing the game, like Rive, this is good on Rive, for instance. Like, there's a lot of different ways of utilizing this. And all I have to say is it's going to probably be seen in a lot of my guides. This is going to be one of those items that just ends up being really good, because the idea here is you might go to 0 mana, but you're going to be playing a build that doesn't care about mana or doesn't use it as often. So like Smite, for instance, is really good on Smite because you can gain mana when you use Smite. Rive, Vengeance, anything that like you're gaining mana instead of losing it. I think this is overall a good item. And also, of course, 56% of endurance applies to all damage dealt by mana. This can actually, on top of the relic for mage, can stack together. That's really good. 8% of maximum health gained is endurance threshold, so this is like the base from Primalist, so that's really good. Like flat health, 8% chance to take 0 damage. Yeah, this is just gonna be a good item. Yeah, this is gonna be a really good item. We don't know the chance of it on the boss. I'm gonna assume this is on the boss. Wall of Nothing, we've seen this. It's kind of meh. I think it's cool. I'm not entirely sure. Like, it can be good, but it's like, I don't know. This one's like a little questionable, but especially with the LP. But like, well, like you could actually stack these two to get 24% 0 damage on hit. You could run the parry axe as well with parry on it, or the parry dagger to have another chance of taking no damage on hit. You can also run block to take less damage on hit. You can also run dodge to not take damage. I think we're going to see a lot more builds that can get tanky and a lot more focus on just being tanky this patch. That's interesting. I like that. World Splitter. We've talked about this before on stream, but essentially, big fat melee weapon. It gives you lots of area based on its mana cost. A lot of ways of abusing this, like a Racing Strike, Shield Bash. Shield Rush. Base critical strike chance per mana cost, that's really good as well. Critical strike multi per max mana, which is also really good, and max mana. This actually synergizes really well with the Seed of Yggdrasil, by the way. So like overall, like World Splitter is just a really good item. Harbinger of Cruelty, Harbinger of Pride, and then these are from the last boss, and then Harbinger of Fear. Oh, wait a moment here, I just realized it. So each different Harbinger has their own unique. Huh. That's cool. That's cool. We'll definitely have to look into that. Then, of course, Phase Point here. Phase Point's just a lot of flat dodge, a lot of percent dodge. Chance to gain Dust Shroud on dodge, that actually feeds into itself because you get more dodge. And you get Black Arrow on dodge, it's kind of like meh. It's like okay. It's actually interesting because if you play multi-shot, you can run this and then get you the extra pierces while you have it. So like there is a reason to use this. Void flat damage doesn't really matter. This is like kind of useless. And then +3 to level of Dark Quiver. Overall, I think this is a good defensive quiver for marksman in general. I think it's going to go unnoticed until someone uses it. It has a very high LP level though. Very high LP level in general, so we'll see how this goes. And then we got the Harbinger Needle, we talked about that already. Dodge while evading, this is on specifically boots, increased dodge and dodge while evading. And then mana and mana spent gained as ward can be applied to wands, scepters, and two-handed mana staffs. This is going to be insane in general. I don't know how much the numbers are, but this is going to be insane. So overall, those are all the items in the patch. I'm really excited for it. There's a lot of cool items, a lot of useful items. I didn't have to be memey with a lot of them because a lot of them just were usable in general, except for very specific ones. A lot of that being said, this has been Dread. I'll have to go do something else. Bye.